Peace, 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 brothers and sisters. How you doing? Gods and goddesses, kings and queens. How's everything? Everything's fine? Welcome to class. It's SHU AMUN RA's class. I haven't seen y'all almost 2 weeks. I was giving you some of my classic videos. Make a long story short, I was a little inactive, and I'm back. And while I was inactive, I was doing some research, and I went into my library, and I noticed that one of my books I haven't revealed. And the book is called The Untold Story of Smoketown, the Great Black Renaissance. And I decided that I want to discuss about the Great Black Renaissance. And this is going to be class. I want you to have your pencils and papers, because it's going to be names that you're not going to remember, dates that you're not going to understand, so you can do your research and understand them. As you can see, I have my Black History cards here, right? I have my Black History cards because I'm going to need them as well. And I hope that y'all bought these Black History flashcards. Now, the last couple of videos, probably just a couple of months ago, I've represented these cards. Now, I'm hoping that you took time and did research and got online to find these cards. Listen here. I just spew out the information. It's up to you if you want to participate. If you want to participate and you can follow through and learn something. This is what it's all about. I told you before. I'm not looking for views and none of that stuff. I'm looking to always share the knowledge and the information. But today's class is going to be totally different. Totally different. And trust me, it's going to be different. And because we needed to start to discuss about the great people that lived in Pittsburgh and what came out of Pittsburgh, and just black people in general, and talk about the great things they've done. And black people doing great things to this day. And we need to get our minds out of the negativity force, the frequency, negative frequency force that we keep spewing out. I know it's not easy. Listen, I live it day by day like everyone else. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with religion, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with sex, and you're dealing with politics. And then you're dealing with some people so ignorant they don't care less. They just glad they got a roof over their head, and they got money to go to the store, get food, and so on and so forth. But to understand, you know, who we are and the greatness of what we have achieved, this book is going to give a valuable information. And I'm going to give out, you know, do the best I can to put this information out. And please, get your pictures and papers. And we're going to get ready. We're going to get it started. But before we get it started, I must inject certain information, because we don't want people to get a misunderstanding who I am. So I'm SHU AMUN RA, first of all. And I do classes on Sunday, and sometimes you see me do other videos and so on and so forth. I don't do these things for people to watch my views and get likes. I do it because of the care of how I feel. First of all, love thyself. I love me first. Okay? Then I love my family. And then I love the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to my people. Let me make it clear. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Because if we don't start telling the truth, if we don't start being honest, it's all a waste. Because somebody else will point the finger and say, well, your people's like this and that. We could talk about ancient history all day, every day. The question is, what are you doing today? What are you doing to make a difference? Are you a Renaissance? But before we get into that, gods and goddesses, brothers and sisters, let me let everybody know what I'm not, so we don't have no misunderstanding. What I am not. I'm not your preacher. I'm not your pastor. I'm not your reverend. I'm not your deacon. Just understand. I'm not your archaeologist. I'm not your astronomer. I'm not your scientist. I'm not your mathematician. Okay? I'm not your social studies teacher. Okay? No, I'm not. I'm not the person that goes on an expedition and we look for fossils and so on and so forth. That. No, I am SHU AMUN RA. I am the messenger. I dig into my own private libraries. I go online, do research. I even go on YouTube, on Facebook, and many different things to gather information, to collaborate on things either I've read or seen, put them together, and I spew this information out. I also spew out information out from my own mind, my own heart, the best of my ability. So now you understand who I am. Now, if you want to know what my government name is, you will see on top when I do the video or when I post on Facebook, it says Denzel Snotty. That is my government name. SHU AMUN RA is my spiritual name. That is my spiritual name I go by. Only a few people know that. And that's the way I want it. Now, yes, I could buy my name back and buy SHU AMUN RA. You can buy your name. There's a process of going through this. So, you know, it's up to you. It depends on your pride and whatever case may be. Another thing I want to spew out is this, is that African ancestries. Remember, I said we're going to get into that. I'm going to have a video, but when I get my, when I get the kit for the African ancestries, and I'm going to, on the video, I'm going to show you everything, and then we're going to sit it out. We got to wait 6 weeks. I will be letting y'all know that the African ancestries, who I am, where I come from, you know what I'm saying? They're going to pinpoint my peoples. And I told you this before, I'm going to get this done. So we have a better regulation for me. And I'm hoping as I do this as an illustration for you, that you'll be able to want to look into it and find out who you are. So when somebody ever questions you, you will be prepared and you will be able to understand. You'll say something like this here: I know who I am. And somebody go, well, you don't know who you are. You go, I know who I am. And you go, and they gonna ask you, gonna go, this is who I am. This is my descendant. This is where I come from. My bloodline comes from here, there, and you break it down. Because we need to stop being ignorant and start just going, well, I live here, I was born here in New York City, and that's it. We beyond that. Because you can't call no African an African. An African person doesn't tell you I'm African. What they tell you is where they come from. Kenya, Liberia, Congo, right? Syria, Egypt, which Egypt really is Kemet. So on and so forth. So, we got to get this done. You know, I got to get it done. Like I said, love thyself before you love others. All right? Gods and goddesses, kings and queens, and brothers and sisters, however you want to be called. Let's get into it. The untold story. Smoke time. I'm going to read you some paragraphs from time to time and show you some Black History Flash books. And I'm going to show you also pictures. So you'll be able to identify these people. And if you cannot identify these people, write this information down. We cannot lose our history. We cannot lose who we are. People who walked the path before us. They walked the path. And we got to continue walking this positive path. Listen now. Pay attention. What we need to do is stop thinking we are so perfect that we cannot make a mistake. We're gonna rebuke all that today. People make mistakes. People made millions of dollars. They're gonna make mistakes, and it's not for you to sit there and say, "Look, they made a mistake. It's terrible. I'm not following." First of all, you ain't supposed to follow nobody. What people are supposed to be for you is an inspiration. This is why I bring this book up. This book reminds me of myself. I'm telling you, this is why I'm sharing this information. You don't follow nobody. You're supposed to be inspired by what they've done. And then from there, you either use their methods or you find an inspiration inside yourself and begin to walk your path, which is your journey. Please understand the faculty. Let me get into it now. Smoke Town tells the extraordinary story of the people and the force that made the black population of the city for a glorious stretch of the 20th century, one of the most vibrant and consequently communities of the color of the U.S. history. From the 1920s to the 1950s, this community created a marvelous flowing of social and cultural achievements. Black Pittsburgh once had an impact that revealed the far large black world of Harlem and Chicago. It published the most widely read black newspaper in the country, the Pittsburgh Carrier. It fielded two of the greatest baseball teams of the Negro League. If anyone know about the Negro League? The Negro League is an all-black baseball organization. Negro League. Write that down. Negro League is an all-black baseball organization. Because in those times, in the 1920s to 1950s, baseball was segregated. You had the white baseball team, you had the black baseball team. And yes, from time to time, you had the black team and the white team would play each other, and the majority of the time, the black teams won. And if you have a problem not to believe that, what I tell you, write this down, do your research. Now, back to what I was reading. It fielded two of the greatest baseball teams of the Negro League and introduced Jackie Robinson. Now, you know Jackie Robinson, don't you? You better. I'm talking about people like in their 20s. If you're 20s and your 30s and you don't know Jackie Robinson, write this down. Jackie Robinson came from the Negro League. All right. Jackie Robinson introduced Jackie Robinson to the Brooklyn Dodgers. The Brooklyn Dodgers was the American white baseball team, which they had a team called the Brooklyn Dodgers. It was the childhood home of jazz pioneer Billy Strayhorn. Billy Eckstein, Earl Hines, Mary Lou Wilson, and Errol Gardner. Hall of Fame slugger, Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson was better than Babe Ruth. They don't want to tell you that. You see, because, excuse me, Josh Gibson was one of the greatest home run hitters in the Negro League. Oh yeah, Josh. I'll spell it for you. Josh, Josh Gibson. Gibson. Josh Gibson. Look this man under the Negro League. Okay? From Pittsburgh. I gave you some clues. Now, let's move on. And America's greatest black playwright, August Wilson. Some of the most glittering figures of the era were changed forever by the time they spent in the city. From Joe Louis and Satchel Paige. Joe Louis. Do y'all know who Joe Louis is? Joe Louis is the Brown Bomber. Joe Louis was the heavyweight champion of the world. Joe Louis is the one who knocked out the German fighter through the time of World War, I believe, II was about to happen. This one is so-called, listen to me clearly, so-called regime of Hitler and the Germans believed that they were the master race. This is what they want to tell us, but when you start doing research, listen to me clearly, you're going to find different things. And I'm going to leave that for y'all imagination. But for the king and eye and the king and ear, Joe Louis was our heavyweight champion, okay? Then you got Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige also came from the Negro League. Satchel Paige was one of the greatest pitchers of the Negro League had. He went to the American League, which is the white league. He went to that league as an older man, but I won't say no more than that. Also, back to what I'm reading, Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington was one of the greatest entertainers. Oh yeah. And Lena Horne. I know you know Lena Horne. And don't look at Lena Horne only as just a beautiful black woman. Lena Horne had a voice as the gods. Oh yeah. As I read on, Whitaker takes readers on the rousing revelatory journey and offers a time reminder that black history is not all bleak. Now, black history is not all bleak. Now, the reason why I use the word bleak now is because do we discuss our greats? If you ask some of the baseball players, basketball players, football players, do they know any one of the names I just brought out to you? Dealing with the entertainment world, dealing with music, dealing with sports. If you happen to mention Jackie Robinson to this day, a lot of them will say they don't know who he is. If you mention Josh Gibson's name, they're going to tell you who he is. If you mention Satchel Paige, who he is. Lena Horne, who she is. Ellington, who he is. I'm telling you. I bring some of these things up. A lot of people be like, who, what? They don't want to know these people. Because, see, when I was coming up, my mother and father used to teach us these people. They used to tell us who they are. My mother and father used to go see these people. You can see some of these people in American Classics. American Classic is a cable channel, and you can download. You also can go to an all-black channel. Right, all-black channel. If you have which is called the Magic Stick, which is this box. You know, some of you buy it that one of those like Radio Shack type things. You know, TV place where you buy TVs like that. I forgot the name of So, and also what I was with, it's also called Best Buy. But there's many others. You got J&R, there's J&R, and so on and so forth, right? And you get these sticks called Fire Sticks, and you can go on the internet and you'll be able to see so much different movie channels. And the reason why I can say that, because, you know, I have it, and I have, you know, all black movie channels. And I see all these greats, all these wonderful people. You understand? The movies they made, the music, the jazz. Not only just jazz, classical theater. You know what I mean? Some of you people, all you want to hear is hip hop. That's all you want to hear. All you want to hear is hip hop, right? That's all you want. Hip hop, hip hop. That's not what life is all about. Some of you don't even get into classical theater. You got a lot of classical music. You got some of the greatest voices of a goddess, of a god. Sammy Davis Jr., Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. Huh? Some of these great people like Dick Gregory, Muhammad Ali, W.E.B. Du Bois, huh? Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, huh? Don't judge. These people made a difference. These people made a difference regardless of if they wanted to or not. Some people were even more greater than because they was more spurred their arrow towards the black community. The Black Panthers, we had a lot of people who passed away. Even a couple of years back, or 10 years, 20 years ago. Huey Newton. Huey Newton. Well, don't listen, people make mistakes. You can't sit up there and start trying to judge them. They put them in an impact. Understand the Renaissance, man. It's not about judging people on their mistakes. It's about their accomplishments. That's what it's about. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King did great things. He might not have went the way that you wanted him to be, but he did what was necessary to do. Harriet Tubman freed slaves. But you think Harriet Tubman was by herself? She wasn't by herself. She had other white people helping her out. Do your research. Huh? You think the Underground Railroad was based on just by herself? Nah. But she was one of the spearhead leaders of doing what she needed to do to free slaves. When you truly understand about slavery and its whole conception. Renaissance, people who make a difference, who change the world. I'm going to get into one of them right now. I'm going to get into, remember I told you I'm going to show you some pictures and stuff like that, right? All right. The first one I want to get into is called the Brown Bomber. The Brown Bomber. Excuse me, y'all. All right, now here we go. One of his many Pittsburgh visits, Joe Louis, on the left, and his boyhood friend, Freddie Gonyard, met at the Courier with Joe's favorite sport writer, Chess Washington Center. I'm going to show you. So you don't think I'm just making these things up. There's Joe, there's his friend, and there's Chess. Huh? We gotta start being petty and understand how the world really works. I'm gonna read just a little bit because I want you to get this book and I want you to read it for yourself. But let me get into it. Are you ready? Here we go. The Brown Bombers cornerman. 70,000 spectators thronged the Yankee Stadium at the summer air was thick with cigar smoke, cologne, and the smell of history in the making. The boxing ring floated above second base, flanked by rows of seats reserved for the celebrities and the powerful. Clark Gable grinned for the cameras. Gary Cooper scribbled autographs. J.E. Edgar Hoover served the Ross's scenes. It was the night of June 22nd, 1938. And Joe was about to fight Max. You ready? Max Schmeling. Max Schmeling was a German. Remember I told you he fought a German earlier. His name was Max Schmeling for the second time because Joe lost the first fight. He lost the first fight. He got knocked out. Now, in the second time, the months of the breathless anticipation in the press had built it into more than boxing, which they did. It was American versus Germany. More than a rematch between American champ and the German challenger, who had dealt him his lone defeat in the Charms march to the heavyweight title. Set against the backdrop of Hitler's rise in Europe, the fight had taken on the metaphysical dimensions. As a symbol of the struggle between fascism and freedom, the Brown Bomber versus the Hun, the newspaper called it. For weeks, Skillings had issued racist taunts. The Black Dynasty of the pugilism must come to the end, he declared, as if to underscore the swagger talk. Skilling had set up training camp in a town called Spectacular in the Onondaga Mountains of New York. 2 days earlier, the telegraph message had arrived there from the further himself to the coming world champion, Max Schmeling. To the cable read, wishing you ever success, Adolf Hitler. The spring Lewis had received his own blessings from the high while attending the Negro Elk Club convention in the Washington, D.C. President Franklin Roosevelt invited him to the White House and squeezed his powerful bicep. Joe, we're depending on those muscles for America, FDR said. Now, 1938, the President Roosevelt invited Joe Louis to the White House to tell him face to face, basically, you got to beat him. Huh? You got to beat him, Joe. The President of the United States of America in those days, in the 1938, invited Joe Louis and basically said, those biceps got to do his job. Oh, he was no Negro, Blackie, whatever case people be calling people. Oh no, he was Joe Louis. You see? Did we get a picture where I'm coming from? It ain't always what we want and how it needs to be done. But black people played a big part. And I mean, almost on everything, whether we like it or not. But we got to believe in what we got to believe in. And Joe Louis believed in what he had to believe in. See, Joe Louis didn't just have black people on his shoulders that night. Joe Louis had the United States of America on his shoulders. He had to win. Trust me when I tell you this. Joe Louis won that night. He knocked Max out. He knocked him out. And that took away the regime of the Hitler master race theory. He wasn't the only one that done what he needed to do. Now, whatever reason why Joe Louis knocked him out, either for what Roosevelt told him or his personal friends told him, but Joe Louis knew he had to do it himself because Max had beat him the first time. But Joe Louis is a Renaissance man. Let's don't ever forget that. I'm SHU AMUN RA. I'm going to see you in part 2.